Good evening and welcome to the first edition of Wine Stories. I'm Alexandra Korey and I'm the moderator of tonight's talk. This is part of an online series of chats. There's going to be some in English and some in Italian, and it's organized by the Region of Tuscany. So thank you to everyone who's tuning in on the channel of Buy Wine Toscana and also on the official tourism channel Visit Tuscany. And we'd also like to thank the Florence's English language news magazine for also hosting the show, with which we hope to reach Tuscany lovers around the world and wine lovers, of course. So a little bit of news and background here. In Tuscany, we're just getting out of Wine Preview Week, the Anteprime Toscane, which quite miraculously was possible to hold in person, in presence, in total safety. And being able to get out and taste the wines in person, even if it was a very limited group and seated only, and unfortunately, we missed having the producers there, but that was made up for in other ways. But it really was a first demonstration that the wine industry never stopped, even if some things were on hold for a while. But of course, agriculture moves ahead and wine was continuing to be made and to be enjoyed and bring us joy really on a daily or almost daily basis. So this program is called Wine Stories, and it focuses on the experiences of the people who make Tuscan wine what it is today. And we're hoping to share these stories with a wide international public. So I wanted to dedicate this first episode to the women of Tuscan wine. Women who lead, who innovate, who communicate, and who create community. So this is in part, just their stories. They're amazing people, but they're also stories about what they've accomplished, either recently or less so. So we're also going to be looking at some news from some of these ladies. Without further ado, let's introduce tonight's guests. And we're starting with Irina Strozzi.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Alexandra. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Irina.
I'm connected from our family estate in San Gimignano, surrounded by vineyards of Vernaccia di San Gimignano, of course.
So lucky. I'm connected with a fake background in Florence. That sounds lovely. And Irina is here today in her role as the president of the Consortium for Vernaccia di San Gimignano. So she'll be talking about the all-female team at the Consortium and a new female-led campaign producing or promoting Tuscany's favorite white wine. So we'll get to that in just a moment. Mary Shea, coming up on the screen now. Thank you to our manager in the background. There we go. Thanks, Vincenzo. Mary is the Director of Marketing and Hospitality at the Chianti Classico Winery, Querceto di Castellina. Hi, Mary.
Hello, Alex. And thank you so much for inviting me to participate in this amazing conversation with these impressive women. I'm chiming in from my home in Florence. My husband and I, we have an apartment in Florence, and it's about a 45-minute drive from the winery out at Querceto di Castellina, and it's a beautiful day here.
Best of both worlds. So I've witnessed firsthand Mary's innovative approach to events and her way of encouraging, especially return NO tourists, of which I am one. I love going to her events. So we'll be looking at some of those today. There may be cute animals involved. But more of that later. And now let's bring up our next guest. It is a pleasure to welcome Emilia Nardi. She is the owner of Tenute, Silvio Nardi.
Hello to everybody, and thank you, Alexandra, for hosting me and to this speech about wine and about taking care of people. I'm sorry I'm not at the winery at the moment. I am in my administration office. I do not have a beautiful view as they have, but if you come in Montalcino, we have a beautiful panorama to see and a lot of things to share with you.
I'm sure the view outside your window is not so bad. I mean, you are...
No, not so bad, not so bad. You are really, that's fine.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you for coming with us. And our choice of Emilia for this chat is no mistake, and she probably would not tell you this, but I happen to know that back in 2003, you received the Dea Terra Prize from Italy's Agricultural Ministry, talking about female agricultural innovators.
Yes, I believe that to have an approach of taking care of people working with me, and in many ways for the women that they are, when they are pregnant and when they have to feed the baby by milk feeding by the natural milk, and many other projects. And I have even been invited to the United Nations to introduce my winery for this project of respect on the human being. That's so that's why I received this prize.
And that's one of the one part. We'll talk about one of those initiatives today, the latest news. So we'll get to that. Let's bring up also Shannon Fioravanti. Shannon is the director of the wine club that was launched about a decade ago at Enoteca, Pitti, Gola, and Cantina.
Hi, Alex. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm honored to be included with these esteemed women. I am in my home office in Florence. I'm about an 8-minute walk from our wine bar in Piazza Pitti and our restaurant on Vino. I'm so happy to be here with you all.
We are thrilled to have you here, and thank you also for taking the time out. It's a big day because their Osteria dell'Enoteca is finally opening up tonight for in-house dining. So thanks for taking that time out. Now we have a fifth guest who couldn't make it tonight, but who simply couldn't not be here given the topic, women in wine. And when you think of women in wine in Tuscany, one name always comes up first, Donatella Cinelli Colombini, who wears many hats. And in this case, heads up the Italian Association of Women in Wine. She's really a trailblazer in this field, as well as in other fields like the promotion of enoturism and the creation of opportunities and collaboration. And perhaps some of you have had the opportunity to be on the collaborating side of her amazing energy. So before we speak with our ladies in wine who are here right now, we actually have a video from Donatella, who is going to be speaking about the Associazione Donne nel Vino. So we're going to turn over to her for about 5 minutes. You can kind of rest your faces while we launch that video.
Hello, I am Donatella Cinelli Colombini. I am the president of Associazione Donne del Vino. Thank you to the Region of Tuscany for this invitation. I will tell you a bit about our association and also my story as a woman in the wine world.
Associazione Nazionale delle Donne del Vino, the National Association of Women of Wine, is composed by 900 members, and it was born in 1988 and is composed by wine producers, owner of restaurants and wine shops, sommelier, wine writer and wine educators, and expert in wine. I am the president. I am Donatella Cinelli Colombini. We promote the culture of wine and the role of women in the wine world. And our activity is composed by different projects, local, regional project, and national project. Has this one about the cookbook of the recipes chosen by the connection with the wine or the grape of the same region. We defend the women, and we promote the culture of wine also, asking for the lessons about wine in the School of Catering and in the School of Tourism. We organized a network, an international network between the different women of wine association around the world, in Argentina, New Zealand, Australia, France, Germany, to give more opportunities of the members to the members of our association. Some words about the work of women in wine in Italy. The 21% of the soil, agricultural soil of Italy, is in estate managed by women. But these estates produce the 28% of the agricultural production. So they are very performing. And the 28% of the agriculture company, the agriculture estates of Italy with vineyard or wineries are managed by women, and the 24% of the wine shops are managed by women. 5 years ago, we tried to study the profile of the members of our association, the women of wine, and we understood that the wine estate managed by women are more interested in to preserve nature, in wine export, in fine wine, and in other activities as restaurant, wine hospitality, are more diversified by the company managed by men.
So there you go, and thank you to Donatella for her work in promoting opportunities for women in wine. And lovely church bells, which I feel like really sets us in Florence, but I may be muting the source of those church bells. And now I really would love to hear from Emilia and Nardi. I find your story really fascinating, and I want to hear more about it.
Yes, can you listen to me? Yes, okay. Okay, my history is, it's a long history. It's an history made of women together with men to create business and to create after a wine business. First of all, I wanted to tell you that my family is involved in agriculture in the two sides, for the mechanization and even has the farming. And my grandmother, she was a farmer, and with what she earned from the small estate she had, she supported my grandfather to create the mechanical business where we produced agricultural implements. But the date was 1895. On the mother's side was the same. My grandmother, she supported my grandfather to produce textile, and she was the rich side of the family, and they have started business. So women in my family, we have always been strong. We have had our own roles in the family, in the support of a business, and that has the same that has happened between my father, and my mother. My mother, she has been at the export side of the family, and she has even insisted. She has created a winery together with my father, and the winery has been bought in the 1950, 1952. My mother has become one of the two owners, together with my father's, when they get married. And after, in 1985, I entered to be part of the wine business when I was 20 years old. And I have followed the same spirits than in my family. For me to be a woman at work, and I'm talking about 37 years ago, imagine that at that time, the manager in agriculture as a woman, we hadn't the maternity leaving. And I remember when in the 90s, I had to sign the request to our institute for the maternity for the women. And said that in my winery I have introduced even the spirit to respect a lot the woman working for us. But not only that, but we have even given a great support to the immigrants that have started in the 2000 to work for us. I have always supported to have before the men and after the family to come to work to Italy with them, to live with them. I have a small community of Indian, of Sikh. For men, they have started to work for us in 2000, and in 2004, the family have joined them to live in our winery. Obviously, the winery Tenute Silvio Nardi is an economic society. We want to earn money, but always in the respect of the human being. Nowadays, actually, what we have done, we have asked the Christian Church of Siena has asked us to hire a cooperative, which is a group of immigrants and refugees, as an agency of work. And we have answered, yes, we are ready to support them. And it's not so cheap. In Italy, sometimes with the foreigners people, there are a big problem because this cooperative or agency of work, they use people underpaid. What we do, we pay them as the Italian people. So this is the great support we give to them, but moreover, we give them the opportunity to learn a work. They have been trained before by a school of pruning and the maintenance of the canopy, and we have offered them the possibility to do what they have learned from the school. And so we have hired them, and we have given them the opportunity to work in 15 hectares of our properties in Montalcino, in Tenute Silvio Nardi. And I have, my grandfather has been an immigrant, to United States in 1890, before to come back 1895 and he get married to my grandmother. So we as a Christian, but even has a granddaughter, of an immigrant, we believe that the respect of the people and the respect is given by offering them the possibility to work. I have respect even for the Italian people too. Right? That's obvious. And in fact, even the women, they are paid like the men. We do not do any kind of difference between men and women. And we have even a great respect for the maternity, as I told you, giving the possibility to stay at home 6 months, 9 months for the breastfeeding of children. And we never complain because children are extremely important. Human beings are extremely important for us. And remember we do economy, which that means that we do this in the respect even of what is an economic society, earning money. That's what we do.
Because it means that it's possible to be sustainable in the full sense of the word, that it's actually, sustainable for people. And that's the most important thing.
Ethical, sustainable, an ethical way. Yes,
exactly. It's wonderful. So and I just wanted to say also, I'd read about the eye care project. This is the latest project you've taken on, but I didn't realize that it's a continuation of a whole tradition. So, even more sort of hats off to you. That's wonderful.
Yes, grazie. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. And we'll get back with more questions later, but let's move on to a very different story of female-led community. And let's hear from Irina Strozzi with news from the Consorzio of Vernaccia.
Yes, good. Thank you again, Alexandra. Actually, it's a second time that there is that the Consorzio has a female-led presidency, because I am the second woman president of this fantastic Consorzio of Vernaccia di San Gimignano. Vernaccia di San Gimignano is one of the most historical grape and wines that we have in Tuscany. If you think that its history goes back to 1200, so 13th century, it's a long way until today, of course. And it's incredible to see how it has faced all these centuries with all the challenges and difficulties and up and downs that probably it had to face. And still today, it's one of the greatest excellencies that we have in Tuscany in terms of wines. It's a small denomination. It was the first, actually, wine that got the DOC in 1966. So it's really an importance. It has a great importance for all the tradition in Tuscany. Saying that, I would like also to remind that our community is full of incredible, strong women that has a very clear ideas about their intention and their perspective in their business and in ruling their wineries. So it's also taking inspiration from what Emilia said. We are also a very sustainable territory, looking very much into what is respect of the nature, but also of the people and of course of women and their needs. So Vernaccia di San Gimignano is in Italian grammar. It's has a feminine declination, and from this point, we as Consorzio decided to launch our campaign this year, which focuses on this fact and brings Vernaccia to assume her regal role as a queen in a land of wine kings, because we know that in Tuscany we have great names in red wines, but we have this only white wine. So we want to refer to her as of course, and as a queen, a white queen in this incredible land of Tuscany. And we want to define her also as unique, noble and rebel. Unique because, as I said, it is the only white DOCG that we have in Tuscany. And noble because it has this incredible history starting from 1200. And I would like also to remember that Dante mentioned just one single wine in the Divine Comedy in the Purgatory, which is Vernaccia of San Gimignano. And this year we're celebrating 700 years from the death of Dante Alighieri. So we're in the year of this celebration and remembering the importance of Vernaccia. And so I was saying also, noble because it creates an incredible connection also between producers and their vineyards and territories. And finally, we refer to Vernaccia as rebel. Rebel because it's a white wine that breaks the stereotypes associated normally to white wines. In fact, it expresses the best of its potential in time, and through time. So it's really a wine to be discovered and meant for men and women together without differentiation. It has aspects that can be maybe more interesting for men and others that are more appealing for women. So actually, yes, this is our Vernaccia di San Gimignano, and we hope that now that everything is starting to move again and reopening, we will have the chance to welcome all of you in San Gimignano. We have our center of documentation and tasting in La Rocca of San Gimignano, where it's possible to experience and taste all our products of all our producers. We have 170 producers in San Gimignano for about 700 hectares dedicated only to Vernaccia.
Sorry, muted. Lovely, thank you. I like that. I like the unique, noble thing. I could see her as a kind of punk rock queen. I actually would have maybe even liked to see
unique,
her...
noble, and rebel.
Yeah, I like that. Do you think that is this a campaign that's sort of born of women and sort of more directed at women, or do you feel like it has an appeal to both?
No, it has an appeal to both, I guess. Just as the wine, as I was saying, we all love to see women that are unique, noble, and rebel, of course. So, and men also are fascinated by this kind of woman. And so this is Vernaccia, and these are also the characteristics of our women producers. Absolutely.
I think that actually may fit most of the ladies on the screen. I hope myself included. I believe I saw a picture of Emilia wearing a Rock and Roll Forever t-shirt. Fantastic. I kind of wish you'd worn that tonight. So that is fantastic.
We have to be always, contemporary girl. That's it. I like to dance. So rock and roll is one of my preferred dance. Yes.
Fantastic. So yeah, San Gimignano at the moment at the helm, but even I see people who are doing your communications, a lot of females, almost an all-female team. And speaking of female teams, perhaps one of the first all-female teams in the Italian wine industry is that of Donatella Cinelli Colombini, who we saw earlier as she was talking about the Association of Donne del Vino. But I also asked her to tell us a little bit about her personal experience, another great story about how she founded Casato Prime Donne. So there's a video to that. Let's watch.
Hello, I am Donatella Cinelli Colombini. I am the president of Associazione Donne del Vino.
This is my story. I was born in a family of wine producer of Montalcino. Montalcino is one of the most important wine area in Tuscany for the Brunello production. And so in 1998, I left my family estate to follow my dream, the dream of a wine, a fine wine with my name on the label. And so my parents gave me two properties. One of them, Casato, is in Montalcino. And at the beginning, there was a ruin, a building quite destroyed with old vineyard all around. And so I needed a lot investment, and my mother, to help me, she gave me a little quantity of Brunello in barrel. So I needed a cellar master, a enologist to care this wine, and I phoned to the School of Enology in Siena, the nearest one, and asking for a good student to employ in my winery. And the manager said, no, it's impossible, you have to wait a lot. But when I asked for a female cellar master, the manager said, yes, we have a lot, because at that time, 22 years ago, the good wineries didn't accept women as manager. So I discovered a big discrimination, and I decided to do something to change this situation. A winery with a female staff. So we organized a staff, we replant the vineyard, we organized the winery with barrel and vats. We organized the commercial network and the tourist incoming. And now, after 22 years, we export in 39 foreign countries, and the judgment on our wines by the International Wine Press is excellent. We have 9 wines with a rating over 90 points. Now we have 3 enologists with 2 new entries, and we can say that our project
My AirPods
showed
aren't working.
that the great wine don't need muscles and strong body, but only talent and passion and intelligence is made.
So what a story. I mean, this thing about calling the school, and they said, no, we don't have any cellar masters for you. It's crazy. I will show my age to my American friends when I say the phrase, "You've come a long way, baby," which I believe was an ad for like cigarettes in the 70s. But there you go. I'm old. So we're going to move on to the two English-speaking, native English speakers here, are two American women who I really wanted to invite both of you here. Two redheads, by the way. I thought that was a fluke. But bringing a different point of view to communicating Tuscan wine. And I know, Mary, you just said you're having trouble with your AirPods. Don't worry about it. You can disconnect them. Let's see if we can hear you, because we're going to be calling up Mary right now. Okay. Yeah,
all
we
right.
can hear you.
Hopefully this works. And I apologize for the technical difficulties. But thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me. And so, yeah, I've been working with my husband and his family's estate now for probably, about 6 years. So I moved to Tuscany 6 years ago, and I handle the marketing, communications, the event kind of program at Querceto di Castellina, which actually I'd say, there really wasn't, kind of a role for that, before. But just to tell you a little bit about my background, I'm originally from Long Island. I went to university at NYU in New York. Studied journalism, and then I transitioned kind of into working in the advertising world. So I worked a little bit in New York, Boston, and then I made my way out to the West Coast and was in California. So I lived in Napa and then in Los Angeles. And then I actually lived in Italy for 2 years in my late 20s, kind of early 30s. So I actually lived in Soave up in the Veneto, and worked with a friend of mine who has a winery. Her family has a winery up there. It's called the Coffole Estate. Her name is Chiara. And it was really interesting. That was probably like my first real exposure to kind of working or interacting with like an Italian family run business, and also working kind of in the Italian wine world. And I think that's really, where kind of my passion and my love for it started. But I ended up, after Soave, moving to California. That's where I met my husband, and he was Jacopo. This is about 8 years ago. He spent a winter in California. We met through mutual friends, and then about a year and a half later, I moved to Tuscany. Obviously, it was really difficult. He couldn't leave his wonderful, lovely family-run business in the Tuscan countryside. And it worked out to be really pretty perfect, a perfect fit for me. So I started, working with him and his family, who were, I have to say, amazing. They just, they opened up their, they were just so open to welcoming into the business, into the family. I was really fortunate because Jacopo's mom, she had actually started the agriturismo at Querceto di Castellina, which basically it's more like a farm stay out in the countryside. She had started that business in the late 80s. And so I have to say, like, my husband and probably like his dad and his brother, they were really used to having kind of a strong female voice and having a strong, kind of female presence around and in the company. So I think that definitely helped, when I first arrived, because I think they weren't, kind of intimidated, and I didn't have to worry too much about kind of stepping on their toes at all. And so Laura's story, actually, because I think it's really, it's an important story. I mean, certainly for Querceto di Castellina, and I think very much so for kind of like the tourism and kind of enoutourism kind of world in Tuscany, and especially in the Chianti Classico. And we could actually probably, if you wanted to go to the presentation, I have some slides up here if you want to go to the first one. So this is Querceto, and you can see the vineyards. We have 11.5 hectares, about 28 acres of vines. You can see the agriturismo there in the back. But if you go to the next slide, you can actually, this is what Querceto looked like in the late 80s, like before Laura decided really to take a chance and transform Querceto into this, this beautiful, beautiful business, this beautiful place where people could come and vacation. And her father had actually bought the property in 1945. But he had like absolutely no intention of this becoming a business for the family. He had bought it mainly to be a vacation estate. But Laura had very different ideas. And her kids at that point, Jacopo and his brother, they were in their teens. So she, she decided that she wanted to start a business, and she has so much passion. And she's such an incredibly hard worker. And she decided to start the agriturismo, which was no small undertaking. I mean, and Alexandra, you've seen the structures, now, but back then, these are structures that date back to the 1400s. Laura's father really wasn't, he didn't invest in kind of the structural maintenance of the buildings, so they were falling down. And you can kind of see the before and after. If you go to the next slide, so slide number 3 kind of shows the after. And what Querceto is today. And this was really, like Laura, this was kind of her vision. It was her passion. She started this, and you can actually kind of look a little bit more forward, like on the next few slides. You can see some other older pictures of the buildings. I love the retro pool picture, actually, which is the next picture. And then there's kind of a mix of some other pictures of Querceto today. But she started that. Then my husband, he started the winemaking at Querceto not until 1998. And actually, it's crazy. Like before that, and if you can actually go up, if you want, to slide number 10, and you can kind of see what Laura. So I think a few more, you'll get to a picture of Laura, my mother-in-law. Yep. So this is actually Laura in like 1966. And she's amazing. And then the next picture is because she actually, since they weren't producing wine at Querceto, she had a partnership, actually a collaboration with Rufino, which a lot of people don't know. So they were managing the vineyards. And she was selling grapes to them to go and produce wine. But she would do visits at the agriturismo, actually, like at the Rufino cellar. So that's her and her amazing self. And you can kind of keep going. She started doing cooking classes at the estate. And she was really, she started doing all of these things, on her own. And it was pretty amazing. And this is her actually in a kitchen in a restaurant in California. And then if you want to go to the next slide, it shows one of our vineyard dinners. And this kind of segues a little bit more into what my role at Querceto has been over the past few years. My role was really to start. We were all talking about kind of creating a community, and it was definitely creating a community. Querceto was very much a hidden gem 6 years ago. So my goal was really to get more people to discover Querceto and discover the beautiful things that like my mother-in-law was doing, and also what my husband was doing with the wine side. And it wasn't to come in and really significantly change what they were doing, because they were doing beautiful things. But it was to try to get more people to discover, this beautiful place and what they were doing. And I had no idea that they would take off the way that they did. So, we do these vineyard dinners. The other week, we did a pizza and alpaca party, which my husband's family probably thought I was like completely bananas for doing. And it wasn't just so I could get a picture with an alpaca, I promise. But it was, these events, they're great ways for people to discover the estate. Also, my husband's family, they love them. It's a great way for Laura to experience the estate. Because my role is really, it's to help tell their story, help tell her story, and share Querceto with people in a very authentic way. Which there's definitely a lot of responsibility with that. And I'm very protective of it, because, I don't want to promote, or I don't want to, do projects or promote events that don't feel right for them. And my mother-in-law continues to be a very strong presence at Querceto. She handles our full culinary program. It's actually her birthday this Sunday. So she's definitely, continued to be the spirit and the heart of the estate. And that's the way it should be. And it's just, I feel really fortunate that I ended up working for, a place where there was a strong female, kind of presence and voice. Because it made me feel like I had more, I would say, and this may or may not sound terrible, but more permission to, I don't know, kind of promote more new ideas for the family. And it was a really nice environment to kind of come into.
It's a wonderful story. Laura is such a forza, and you really have done wonderful work. And I'm sorry I missed the alpacas, because I would have also liked to have a picture with an alpaca. So we're gonna get a question for you and Shannon together afterwards. I want to talk to Shannon Fioravanti about your innovative wine club model.
Watching this with, so I'm excited I get to be a part of it. Thank you again for having me. I guess as this is called Wine Stories, my own story in wine, I'll tell you a little bit about how it all started here and how I got here. I am from Southern California. I'm American. I came to Italy a little over 12 years ago, and I met my now husband in our Enoteca, which is Enoteca Pitti, Gola, Cantina in Piazza Pitti. He had just purchased the wine bar with his two partners 2 weeks prior. So they were brand new, and they had this amazing business model that they wanted to open an Enoteca where they could pour and serve the wines that they themselves wanted to drink, wines that they were passionate about. And while pouring these wines, to tell people about where they came from, who made them, what went into making this wine that's in your glass you saw in front of you. And I was sold. I thought this was incredible. This was an experience that I loved. This was a project that they were truly contagious in their passion for wine. So for me, it was absolutely easy to say, how do I make myself a part of this team? When I came in to join the team, we had an idea that was very much directly influenced by a trip to California to meet the parents, my husband coming to meet my parents in Southern California for the first time. We went up to Napa and we did winery tours. We had a great time. And we saw that there were wine clubs all over. Everybody had a wine club, and it was this great experience where people could go to a winery, learn about the winery, see the vineyard, try the wines there, and then have it shipped to their home and relive that wonderful experience that they had there. And we thought, we have people at home in the Enoteca who are asking us to ship them blind boxes of the wines that we ourselves love and to send them home with them. So we thought, what if we do this? What if we launch a wine club with, instead of a winery where you know a little bit of what you're getting into, what if we ask them to trust us to feature a blind box of wines that, instead of them having these fond memories of visiting, it's us, that we go to these incredible wineries. We love them and the stories of who makes these wines, and we can send these wines home to people and tell them all about them. So for me, my role joining the Enoteca, of course, it's administrative. I'm handling a lot of the shipping, of the documentation, of working with the members themselves. But another part of my job is getting to go to these wineries in person, to visit them, to meet the people, to see how they're making these wines. Are they a newly established winery? Have they been around for 9 generations? What's the name of their dog that runs along in the cellars with us while we're there? All of these incredible stories about these people and what goes into your glass and this bottle that you're opening in your home. So we really just asked people to take a leap of faith and to trust our palates and our experiences. Part of what we do with sending these wines to people is my favorite part of the job, is that I get to write these stories and I get to include them in a descriptions packet that goes out with each of these shipments of wine, telling people these stories. So it's more than just, do I see violets and blackberries in the glass? It's who made this, who poured their heart, sweat, tears, everything into making this incredible wine. It all blossomed from there. I'm proud to say that, yes, we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary of the wine club in April. which is a huge achievement for us. We had no idea where this was going to go. And we ship to 23 countries now, and we have an amazingly active member base of people that come and visit us yearly, sometimes more than yearly. Of course, a little bit less in 2020, 2021, but we're so proud to see that people are coming back as borders are reopening and travel starting again. I love to see when we have a wine that we sent to someone's home in another country, that they've enjoyed the wine, read the story, and then they come to Tuscany, they come to visit, they come to see the winery in person, to make the wine, to meet the winemaker themselves, because they really fell in love with this. For me, it's incredible to see us in this position as a bridge for people in their own home to Tuscany, to Florence, to here, especially in years like this past year, wherein people maybe weren't able to make it back to Italy and were able to relive their fond memories here through us, and to have that bridge to Florence and to these winemakers here. I absolutely couldn't be more thankful for all of the members that we have, especially even financially. In 2020-21, it was an amazing opportunity for us to still be working while our companies were closed, but we were able to send them wine home to enjoy, and to have a job that I get to do this and visit amazing people. And it's all because of amazing ladies like these ones up above me right now, because they make those incredible wines, and they are the incredible stories that I get to drink and talk about and send home to people. So I have a great job. I love my job.
Thank you, Shannon, because you just came up with the conclusion for me. So my job, God, I'm just gonna leave. But that's wonderful. Indeed, wine has this amazing evocative power, to make us all travel even when we can't travel, and to connect us, to connect people. So, thank you for doing that and for making it possible in this time that it wasn't possible to do so in person. Now, I guess as the three of us foreigners, I find it really fascinating, and I think a lot of people who come to Italy really enjoy stories of family business, and that does actually include all four of you and Donatella as well on the screen here. As foreigners, I guess the family is not necessarily the one you're born with, but the one that you choose, and it may be acquired family through marriage, but it also can be your friends and your colleagues. As your sense of family expands into something, a larger sense of the world. So I wonder how family has conditioned your approach to jobs, to your job here in Italy. Mary?
With your family. but that's just him. That's him. But I think, the idea of like family, it ties into this whole conversation around community, and with my husband's family, I'd say in particular, but also it ties into what Shannon was talking about, like telling people's stories. And I think when you're working for, with a family run business, like my husband's, for me, it's my husband's, mom, dad, and brother, everybody's involved. And there's, it's very personal, at the end of the day, it's very personal. There's a lot of emotions that go into making decisions. And so, for me, I had to kind of probably change my approach a bit, when it came to my job, just to be more sensitive around there. And as I mentioned, before, is just, this idea of being authentic. I worked in advertising, and you were always about, kind of maintaining a proper brand voice for your client or whatnot. It's very different when you're the voice of your husband's family's wine, estate, and winery and what they're doing. And I'm sure it's like Shannon, with writing the stories, that she's doing for her wine club members and whatnot. That's a lot, and you want to get it right. And so for me, when I get I'd say I get the most personal pleasure when we have clients who, have been coming to Querceto, let's say for, 20 or 30 years, or maybe some of the first clients that, that Laura, hosted at the estate, when they get our marketing and they write back to us and always have, like really positive feedback, or they say they're so happy that, to hear from us and to thank us for staying in contact with them and continuing to tell their story. And that's when I know that I've kind of done my job, the right way, and it gives me a lot of personal satisfaction. And that's something that I didn't get in my previous roles. Let's just say.
Shannon, what about you?
I have to say, I came into this company when they were young, and they're not all family in our team. There are 2 brothers. My husband and my brother-in-law are part of the team, but the rest we have chosen as family. Our team, I can't say I came in delicately. I came in more of like a wrecking ball, and I have very much forced family on our entire team. I forced them all to celebrate Thanksgiving with me, and 4th of July and St. Patrick's Day. I cook for them all, and we have great team building and time together. We enjoy so much as a team being able to take from both the Enoteca and the Osteria, the entire team together to wineries, to visit them, to have great days out. And that is as much as fun for us as it is also fun and helpful for our guests when they come in. If you go to the Osteria and one of our fantastic servers serves you a bottle and talks all about the incredible day that we had at that winery, it's again us getting to share a little bit more than just pouring a delicious wine in your glass. It's also getting to tell you about these people with our firsthand experience. So forcing our team to be a family, I'm honored to be in that role and to make it happen. I like to think they enjoy it. Last year that we couldn't do Thanksgiving, they were all really sad I wasn't making the big turkey for them.
That's good fun. I'm curious, Emilia, if you also force Thanksgiving dinner on your large family, how do you, working with people who are not all family, but still within a family business, how do you create this sense of responsibility, of pride in the people who work with you?
I think that when you give, when you make no difference, you have to be equal to everyone. So people respect you, especially if you're a woman. When everybody in front of you, every one of your workers are the same. You use the same, in Italy we say the same weight, that means we respect what they do for us, and back we give respect to them. That's the way to get involved people. And another thing is that I think that you have to find the right role for everyone. Not each one of us is equal, is the same. You have to discover what the people really can offer as the best of them. Obviously, there are some work, some process that they are all the same. They are for everyone. But I said that in working in the farming, in agriculture, it's not all the same job all year around. There are seasons, there are different works, and sometimes there are even different things, like people that likes to go to the bottling chain, people that like to clean the cellar, or people that like to stay in the tractor. So people like to fix the agriculture machineries. So I know it's a simple work, but you have to find the right work and the right role to everybody. This is a way to respect people. And another thing is to be very precise and to respect the date of the payroll too, because this is important. They are working, they earn less than 2,000 euros, and they have to support the family. So I think this is the way to catch the art of a person, so to respect them. And after the day work, you have to talk to them. we know the family, we know the family problem, and in farming is that probably is something that cannot be could not be done in the industry, but in farming, when people lives in your in the place at the winery, and even when there is the man and the husband and the wife working for us, sometimes we have to enter even in the family problems of other person. So is that to understand people, is that, and what they can do at the best.
That's an excellent piece of advice. And I think that if you help guide those people to find, their talent, you end up with happy people like Shannon, yes, who I think just created her job so she could go travel around to all different
and another thing is, when you do a compliment to someone, this person, I think they feel to be a better person. So sometimes to say, you have done a great job, but even to say the truth when they haven't done. But when there is a compliment to do, and it's a kind of respect for them.
Absolutely. So my last question is for Irina, and this comes from knowing your stories and wondering, I think, for example, Mary has the strength of Laura behind her and maybe looking towards her as a kind of inspiration. Irina, for you as a woman working in the wine world, do you have a role model that you look to either as guidance or as an example?
I think that every woman has a potential to be her own role model. We have today these incredible examples of all of you incredible women, which are exactly that. They are all inspiring, and they are an inspiration today for me as well. And I hope to be as well in my little corner to give also some inspiration to somebody maybe one day. But and for inspiration, I also wouldn't look too far away. I would look to our mothers, to the role of a mother, because she's really the example of strength, of tenacity, of multitasking, of somebody that is able to do to achieve objectives and to face challenges, always with great love and great passion. So for myself, it's for sure my mother is one of these inspiring role models.
Absolutely. Well, I would say we should toast to that. I don't think we all have wine, but I believe Shannon can offer a toast. So there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Grazie.
Thank you to all of you. And what can I say? Thank you for participating and for giving your time and telling your stories in this first pilot episode of Wine Stories. And I hope that our public will be back for the next episode in English, date to be announced. But we really do look forward to more stories like these ones. So thank you again for everything you're doing to make Tuscan wine so exciting today. Goodbye.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Alexandra. Thank you.
Ciao. Ciao to everybody.